Hello everybody, welcome into Scores, Goals, and Touchdowns with Mr. Pat. We have returning with us again Matt Hessling with the broken hand, which he's being very mysterious about, won't tell me how he did it. And then we have Phil, who recently broke his foot. I was there for that one, so I do know how he did that. The big story right now, the Women's World Cup right now is going on. The U.S., when last we looked, were winning 1-0 against Colombia. They won a few days ago against North Korea, beat them 2-0. Now, I'm going to be honest. I watched the entire game against North Korea. I was thoroughly enjoyed by it. I did all the usual hooting and hollering when the U.S. scored. I like it. Not many people are a big fan of soccer. But this brings up the question, is it the Olympic effect? Like I say, people don't care about it until it's the Olympics or the World Cup. I love anything with the U.S. involved in it. How about you? You were talking about that all.
Yeah, for me personally, it's all about America. I mean, you put America on anything, and I'll probably watch it and get into it. I don't like soccer any other time of the year unless it's World Cup or Olympic time. But I can get big into it then. It's an interesting game to watch, though. I don't understand why I don't watch it more often, but I just can't get into it.
Man.
I probably won't be watching it. I'm not that interested. Like if it's on, I'll probably watch it and I'll hoot and holler like you, sir. But I won't seek it out, I don't think.
I don't think you can hoot and holler like me anyway.
Well, we'll have a contest later.
Okay.
Could be the next segment.
All right, the next big story, we have the NBA lockout. It happened a few days ago. It was official. They got a very intense picture on ESPN with all the jerseys behind a locked gate. Now, it seems like you read from both sides are really dug in. We talked about Charles Barkley thinks they're not going to play at all. And it's just getting really ugly. Do you think this is going to be bad for the NHL lockout?
Bad as in it could last an entire season, yes, but it won't be as bad for the NBA because at the end of the day, people still care about basketball, which breaks my heart as an NHL fan, don't get me wrong. But they're really far apart, though, on these arguments. And with the amount of teams that are just losing money every year, there's got to be some big changes in the NBA, big time.
Right. Like even if they miss a season, they're still going to have a TV contract to go back to, unlike the NHL did. So they'll be fine in the end, but it's going to hurt now.
Plus, not to mention, college basketball will take over, and then at this point, when the NBA gets back, you're going to see all of these players that they watched more in the college game get drafted. Right. So if anything, there could maybe even be a positive out of it at the end.
Yeah, more connected to those players.
Mm-hmm.
Good call.
All right, let me tell you about this. The NFL lockout, I feel like last week everyone was kind of optimistic, but all the reports that are coming out now is that the talks have been breaking down. Both sides are starting to get upset with one another. All the optimism they had, all the goodwill is slowly starting to fade away between the owners and the players. Now, highly unlikely, but assuming the lockout does go for an extended period of time and both of them are locked out at the same time, is baseball going to be enough to, I guess, whet your appetite?
It'll be enough for me. I love baseball. That's my #1 there. And then during the winter, like, sports aren't that much. I love the NBA as it gets close to the end of the season, but we still might have an end of the season, and I got plenty of movies to keep care of me during the winter.
I'll still have my NHL to watch. That's what I would have been watching regardless anyway. Once basketball season starts, it's really when hockey season starts for me, so sort of relevant. I will miss Sundays with the NFL though, but it'll be back. The NFL is America.
Yeah.
Too much money to be made.
Mm-hmm.
See, my biggest thing with this, I love football, I love watching it. I like college more. I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. I care way more about Notre Dame than any other team in the NFL. But the thing that'll get me the most, and this is the reason I like the NFL so much, fantasy football. I mean, there's so much time, so much fun we have, that it's going to kill me not being able to do that. And then
You'll have to go outside. It's going to be
I know, it'll be rough.
I don't know who's going to scoff at me for taking Antonio Gates in the 3rd round. Yet he's got me to the playoffs 3 straight years.
That's true. All right, sticking with the NFL, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, the drama going on with everybody. You have Carson Palmer saying, I'm not going to play for the Bengals. If they don't trade me, I'm going to retire. Mike Brown sitting up top saying, I'm not trading you, I'm paying you, and you're playing. And then you've got T.O. and Ocho Cinco. T.O. recently just had surgery, big surgery, he's supposed to be fine. He's still under that 1-year deal, we won't know where he's going. Ocho Cinco, I don't know how to keep up with that guy. He recently had an interview where he said if Marvin Lewis doesn't like him to whip his butt. What do you see going on in Cincinnati? I don't even know how to phrase this question. What are they going to do?
The Carson Palmer thing still, like, I'm still holding on to believe that it's just an empty threat, but it's looking less and less likely. The two receivers, I don't know.
I don't understand a threat like that. I mean, if you look at the way the economy is in America today, the man has a job and he's under a contract. I don't know why he can't do said job until contract is over, threatening to go somewhere else. It's not like I could leave my job today and just go somewhere else because I wanted to. It's not an option for me. I don't like threats like that. This man's making way more money than I could probably ever dream of making.
Yeah.
And here he is complaining about it.
The troubles of multi-millionaires. What a shame.
Although he does kind of work at the circus, so I can maybe see his threats there.
All right. We talked a lot about hockey. I know this is what you want to talk about. Jaromir Jagr played for the Penguins for a few years, won the 2 scoring titles, won Stanley Cups with them, played in Russia. 5?
He won 5 Art Ross trophies.
Oh, my bad. Thank you. That's why you're the hockey guy. But won 2 Stanley Cups, 5 of those, and then he goes to Russia for a while. Came back last week to talk to who he was going to talk to. Said he'd love to play for Pittsburgh. Said money wasn't an option. When they gave him an offer, apparently money was an option. And then surprisingly, the Red Wings pulled out, and now eventually he is with the Philadelphia Flyers. Good move.
I feel it's a good move for him personally. This is a team right now that just traded away a lot of its offense, and Jeff Carter, Mike Richards, and Christopher Stieg, so he has a chance to maybe rekindle some of the glory he had before, whereas if he goes back to Pittsburgh, he's kind of going to be the second banana like he always was. Pittsburgh and Detroit dropped out of the race. Detroit, I'm kind of surprised, as they always seem like to add to their fossil collection up there.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about baseball. See you then. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Scores, Goals, and Touchdowns with Mr. Pat. Matt Hessling, Phil Hook, back with us again. Like I said before we went to break, we're talking about the MLB All-Star Game. I'm personally a fan of it. I like it a lot. All these other All-Star games don't mean anything. The Pro Bowl, nobody cares about. The NBA. It says a lot about your game when Shaq's hoisting up threes. I like the baseball's All-Star Game because it does mean something. The winner gets home field advantage. What do you think?
Silly.
Really?
I don't understand how an All-Star game of people who aren't even going to be playing in the World Series, except for a select few, are going to decide who gets home field advantage in the World Series. I think that's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, it drew attention for the first couple of years, but it's just an anomaly again at this point in time.
Another thing with the All-Star game too in the MLB, you're probably not going to see guys like Verlander and Sabathia pitching, because if you pitch on the Sunday before the All-Star game, you're not allowed to pitch in the All-Star game, so it's not quite your exhibition of the greatest All-Stars if you can't play in it.
No. I like that a game means something. I don't like watching others where it's just a bunch of guys clowning around being stupid, like I brought up with Shaq. Now, the other thing I mentioned, the other thing with the All-Star game comes up, you have the home run derby. They took a page out of the NHL playbook because they're actually having captains this time. They're having Prince Fielder, who's going to be the captain of the NL team, and David Ortiz, captain of the AL team, American and National Leagues. And they're going to pick who they want for their team for the home run derby. Do you like what they're doing there?
I mean, it's a story. It's just another article to put up on MLB.com, but I don't think it really matters. I think they're still going to end up picking the same guys that would have been picked anyway. Just the home run leaders will be there. No surprises. I mean, Ortiz isn't going to pick Orlando Cabrera, some friend of his.
I would not pick him for anything.
Oh.
I don't like him.
All right.
I mean, it's a good story. I mean, it's something that'll create a little bit more interest maybe, and I feel like maybe interest might have been down a little bit recently. So, I mean, something new, maybe generate some buzz, but ultimately, another story.
Really quick before I said, the reason I don't like Orlando Cabrera, when he played for the White Sox a few years ago, anytime he'd make an error that he didn't think was an error, he'd immediately call up to the top and demand they look at it again, something Ozzie Guillen didn't like, and call him out on it. I'll defend anything Ozzie Guillen says.
Sure.
But let me ask you guys, say you're Prince Fielder, you're David Ortiz. Who do you guys take for your first pick?
Well, I'm Prince Fielder. I'm really sad because Albert Pujols can't come play. So, I don't know. I guess I would probably just go with Lance Berkman because I know him and he can hit home runs.
That's true.
David Ortiz has a lot to choose from. He could take Jose Bautista, who's leading the league. Merck Teixeira's up there as well. But Miguel Cabrera, I think, just has too much power. He'll put on a huge show in home run derby, as I think he has in the past.
Yeah. And it's good because they're playing at Chase Field, which is a very friendly hitter's park. So they're
warm down there.
Yeah. So they should have a lot of fireworks, a lot of home runs. Should be interesting to watch. We're getting near the halfway point of the baseball season. I'm going to ask you guys, and everyone always talks about your MVPs, your Cy Youngs. Give me who you think, who's your Cy Young for the NL and the AL?
Well, for the AL, I think Justin Verlander's an obvious choice. He's got an ERA that's somewhere near, it's like 2.4, 2.3. He's pitched the most innings, so you're getting a lot of durability out of him, and he's tied for leading wins. I mean, there's not really much of an argument to that. As far as the NL goes, you've got a close race, I think, between Jair Jurgens, or Yair Jurgens, I don't know, all these soft J's really go yogging. But Roy Halladay, I think, is there as well. With Jurgens, you've got the ERA that's below 2, but he doesn't really strike anybody out, whereas Halladay's got twice as many strikeouts, only one less win. So,
yeah, Jurgens has been incredibly lucky this year. It's going to tail off eventually. He's not going to keep the ERA under 2. He might win 15, 16, 17 games, but he's not going to win the Cy Young. I mean, he shouldn't win the Cy Young. Halladay makes sense. Cole Hamels even. There's other guys up there. Yeah, it would be hard to argue against Justin Verlander. He's been great. He's on a first-place team, low ERA, tons of strikeouts. But I'm going to go with Jared Weaver. Similar stats all around, except he's allowed, I think, 6 fewer home runs, half as many as Verlander. Jared Weaver's my guy.
All right, let me ask you guys bring up ERA and wins. I personally believe that ERA is the more important stat because that's how many runs you give up. Wins and losses, I always think that's a bit of an overrated stat because that is the ultimate team goal. What do you think is more important when evaluating a pitcher?
You kind of have to find a middle ground of both. I mean, there have been pitchers who have won with, not many wins, like last year. Felix had 11 wins when he won it.
Something like that.
So, I mean, you don't have to have a tremendous amount of wins, but ERA should matter more, in my opinion. It's how many runs you give up. It's like a goalie save percentage, or his goals against average in the NHL for the Vezina.
I really don't pay attention to either. Like with the goalie save percentage, that's things he mostly controls. With ERA, it's a lot goes into the defense. I know it goes into the NHL as well, but like things like WHIP and how many walks he allows, how many home runs he allows, just how many times he doesn't allow the ball in play is what I'm most concerned about.
All right, let me ask you guys this. We went with your Cy Youngs. Give me your MVPs for both leagues.
In the AL, Jose Bautista, it's hard to argue against him. 470 on base. I know his team isn't very good, and that'll obviously hurt him. There's other guys, Adrian Gonzalez, obviously. Miguel Cabrera's been great, but I like Jose Bautista.
Yeah, for the AL, I think it's hard to argue against Adrian Gonzalez because he's up there. Just all the stats, he's got the most RBI, he leads in batting average at like 337, and the Red Sox are right up there. And I think they beat the Yankees 9 out of 10 times this year, which is
tell us, Matt.
Which is a really big.
It's early still. It's still tied overall. Head to head doesn't really matter. It's the overall standings. We'll see. NL though, I like Matt Kemp. Again, team's not very good, but he might do 40-40. It's only been done like 4 times before. It's an incredible accomplishment, and he would deserve it if he does it.
I would say watch out for Jose Reyes. I mean, the guy's got 14 or 15 triples this year. He's outrageous, but
ridiculous batting average.
Absolutely. But and also too to watch with him if he gets straight into a contender. I mean, he could be the reason they get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to do Pat's piece. See you then. There are a lot of reasons people don't like soccer. They say the games are too slow, there's not enough action, and flopping is a part of the game. Now, as an aside, I have to say, last World Cup when the U.S. was bounced out by Ghana, seeing that player from Ghana needing to be stretchered off the field, then seeing him bounce right up with a grin on his face was sickening. The fact that he could burn so much time off the clock without a penalty was maddening. But I digress before I get fired up about it again. The real reason Americans don't embrace soccer is because we're not the best at it. I guarantee if we start winning World Cups, Americans will love soccer. Proof of that is there's absolutely no way you can watch this video and not get chills. If you are saying you didn't, you're lying. General George S. Patton said it best when he said, Americans love a winner. Americans will not tolerate a loser. Americans despise cowards. Americans play to win all of the time. I wouldn't give a hoot in hell for a man who lost and laughed. That's why Americans have never lost nor will ever lose a war. For the very idea of losing is hateful to an American. Couldn't agree more, General. From all of us here, happy 4th of July. See you next week.